Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience, a motivational podcast relating to the insurance brokerage industry and business in general. And now, here's Bill Levinson.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and listening to the two of us rant and go back and forth over the next 45 minutes or so with me today. And it's a special podcast episode. We have Mr. Ian Warcall all the way from the West Coast, California. And number one, I want to introduce you, Ian, to the audience. So if you want to say hello, everyone.
Hey, thank you, Bill, very much. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, of course. And yes, we have Ian back again. This is actually episode number 3 with Ian. So a part 3, which is the first time we ever did this in the 7-8 years that we've been up and running. So it's a big deal for us, for all of us. Also, Ian not only has been on a few podcast episodes, but also a couple of webinars. And he's been at just about every expo, every annual agent expo that we do. And he's been on our agent panel at the expo. So I just, number one, got to toot your horn for a second, Ian, before we jump in head first here. Every time that I needed you to help out, if it was on a training, you know, we had maybe a new lead program or a new CRM tool, whatever it is, you've never said no. You always jumped in and did the best you could, not only to help us and our team, but more importantly, to help our agents. And that alone does so much. And that's why I'm so proud to roll out a part 3 version of the Levinson and Ian Warcall episode, if you will. So thank you again for that. That's a big deal for us and me personally. Okay, so what I want to talk about, I want to give everyone the 100-foot overview, and then obviously I'll turn it over to Ian and give him a chance to share some great nuggets today. But what I want to say is, so Ian's been in the business for, I think, about 15 years now, and he's been with us almost his entire insurance career, which also means the world, okay, number one. And it also gives you kind of the proof in the pudding that he's doing something right, to stay in this business for so long, and not only stay in the business, but succeed in this business and build a successful agency. It speaks volumes. I mean, that's a huge deal. Think about, going through the last 15 years, you had COVID, right? Which we all kind of got stuck with in 2020, 21, right? We know what happened and we know what happened to the insurance space. And not only did he face it head on, but his business keeps growing year after year. So I love to see that. Me and Ian are about the same age, and we are not only do we look very similar, and people always say all the time, oh, are you guys brothers or cousins, or I know you're family members, but we also operate and think that I wouldn't say the same, but very, very similar in the ways of, we probably have a little OCD, we're very detail oriented, we like to do things right, and we also like to, and this is a major point, we kind of put, for me, it's the agent first, and for him, it's the client first. So I think in any business, when you operate like that and you do the right thing, number one, and then obviously your income and your bonuses and everything else will come. But I feel like when you put the client first for agents, or the agent first for Levinson and Associates, then the business automatically grows and you're compensated for that kind of by accident, right? So I love the way you operate, Ian, when it comes to, doing your due diligence with, is this the right policy or quote for the client? And, always making sure that, the I's are dotted and T's are crossed when it comes to your clients. So that's another big kudos. And getting back to my point is, when you think and operate like that, you're going to build a successful business no matter what you're doing. And he's proven that. So, Ian, I just want to say again, I mean, that's congratulations, because that's a huge deal. Do you want to just start off giving everyone, I know this is our third episode that we did together, but do you want to just give everyone a 100-foot overview of you and the agency, just so they know a little more about you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much again, Bill, for what you said earlier. Yeah, I've been in the life insurance industry for close to 20 years. I did start off for the first few working, for a captive agency selling mortgage protection for specifically at the time AIG. And throughout the years of just learning from other top producers and learning the business, I then went to becoming a full-time broker and then partnering up with Levinson Associates. They really have all the tools that I'm needing to be successful, and especially using their CRM, their technology, their lead sources. So right now, even though the interest rates are pretty high, I do focus mainly on the mortgage market, mortgage protection, and I just work mainly the entire population of the new mortgages and new refis. And that's pretty much my niche that I'm doing right now with IULs and retirement planning, annuities, long-term care.
Yeah, I love it. I love that part of it, because it's what we always talk about. It's like finding your niche first, and then building that out, and then everything else will start to come, right? You get referrals, and if it winds up being a referral and the client needs a term policy, obviously you're going to help them. But it's like you build out your niche, and then everything kind of stems from there. And you've done a great job proving that concept. I also want to say, of course, and for the audience, as you're listening to us, and if you're interested in working with Ian in any way whatsoever, you let us know. And of course, for the right person, we'll make the introduction. And if you all work something out, great. And if anything, if it gives you some nuggets or some website advice, that's fine too. But let us know. And then what I'm going to do is, at the end of our episode, I'm going to share Ian's website, because I want you to check that out. Number one, because it's so professional, detailed. He's got the About Us page that looks great. All of his testimonials, his awards over the years. So I'm going to leave you with that, but I'm going to wait until the end, because I want to make sure everyone's on until the end. But just anyway, write a note, and just remember I said this, because if there is an interest on both sides, then we can definitely make that introduction for you. And speaking about websites, and I know 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it wasn't as important as it is today. But just let's speak to that a little bit, and why you feel that that's so important to run a successful operation these days.
Yeah, I mean, the world has changed. I mean, we're all getting, unknown numbers, and what is the first thing that normally we do? We don't pick up the phone if we don't recognize it, or we Google the number. Mass majority, when I'm getting, a new mortgage lead, before I even call them, I send them, a text message along with a family photo, a virtual business card, a local caller ID phone number. You have to, I think one of the hardest things is just to get people to answer the phone. So we really have to just transition and find ways to build, just natural trust and authenticity. So having, a website link, sending your About Me page, letting them know that you received their inquiry. My name is such and such. I'm going to call you tomorrow in the afternoon, or you can text me a good time. So doing those little things nowadays is definitely going to help you get, your phone call, appointments to get them on the phone. So yeah, really important to have a local presence. If they, if they Google you, yeah, you want to have, like a LinkedIn, or just, you want to have some visibility. If you Google someone and you can't find anything on the agent, it's going to be a problem, in my opinion, in today's day and world. You have to just, people have to trust you to even have a chance to, to get, at that, to talk to them about some form of life insurance.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, especially Ian's in many, many states throughout the country. And just think about most of these people don't get a chance to meet you face to face. It's not like it was 20 years ago. So you have to build that same trust and credibility, through your website and through these personal touch points, I like to call them. And you figured that out, Ian. And no one, held your hand and said, "Oh, this is what you have to do every step of the way." You literally went out there and created this model, right? And I know it wasn't easy, and you had to make some changes along the way, but you figured it out, and that's what's so important. And I love, we were talking about how detailed we both are, right? And how doing the right thing is so important. I love how you look at, let's take an agent through this, but like if you're working mortgage protection leads or whatever lead source it is, or even, calling on your friends, family, network, whatever, neighbors, what order, like how do you set up your touch points? Like, is it a phone call first and then a text message? And then you have an assistant send an email, or like, just kind of walk everyone through that. I'm just curious because I know you do a great job with that.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So, in the old days, even maybe like 5 years ago, I would call them, but people do not answer phone numbers that they don't recognize for the most part. So what I do is I send through Ringy. If you're not using Ringy, definitely give it a chance. Go through a trial. I'm happy to show it to you. I put together just like an opening template, and I think it does allow you to include a picture. So for me, it's a family photo. I also include a virtual business card, and I let them know that I did receive their mortgage protection inquiry, and I am your local insurance broker. I put down my license number, and then I offer them, a time that I will call them, or I give them the option to text me with some time slots. If they don't respond, I will call them, and then the Ringy platform will then send another message, 2 to 3 days out later. So there's like, 7, 8 messages. So when you're working on other leads, the platform will send out professional messages that are customized for the market. If you're working IUL leads, or if you're working final expense or mortgage protection, you can customize it. And it works really well when you have also help with your follow-up messages. There's also an option to put in, an email template as well too.
Yeah, see, that's great. So basically, and just put yourself in the consumer's shoes, right? Some people, they're going to see that number come in, and it may even come up, spam or unknown or whatever, right? We all know how sensitive, especially the iPhones are these days with the new software. So you have to, yes, of course, reach out by phone, but think about this. Some people, they'll only text. Okay, that's fine. Meet them where they want to be met. Some people prefer email because they want to check you out first, give them a chance to do their homework and find out exactly who you are. So I love that approach. It's like, the phone call, text message, the email, and then the follow-up start. I know some agents that also will send a letter as well, like on an old school mailer letter. So I feel like you hit them on every single corner, and then wherever they react, is fine as long as they react, and now you have an appointment set up. Right? And if they're local, Starbucks or wherever is great. And if you can do it over the phone, even better. But to do it over the phone, I think that website, what you mentioned, is so important, Ian, and having some of the basic social media pages up and running, I think, is crucial. And obviously you agree with that too, because it shows validity, it shows what your consumers and customers are saying about you, and gives them a comfort feeling, so they know a little bit more about you. You agree?
I tried it. Yeah, 100%. And I will let you know, I tried a lot of different techniques, and
I'm sure
I tried call them first, and in most cases, it will go to voicemail. So sending an opening, it's a warm, inviting. You're setting up the initial call. So sending out a text with a local caller ID matching through Ringy. If you have a family photo or a virtual business card, and then having some type of a link of your website. And it could be basic, doesn't have to be the best of the best website, but just enough where if they go there, it just has some information. It has a picture of you and your background. That will definitely help you get your appointments booked. You can also include your booking link as well, so clients can pick a time on your calendar link. But that has definitely worked well with the combination of using the CRM, Ringy. It's really a great platform. I was saying it's very agent friendly. They have a lot of training. They have a lot of very good customer support where they can walk you through it, and they can help you get set up with one of their onboarding Zoom calls. I remember doing one or two of them, and they really hire some great people at their organization.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And as a Levinson agent, you get a discount, and like Ian even mentioned, the 2-week free trial. So there's a lot of great bells and whistles there for marketing. What I wanted to ask you, Ian, is do you use that Calendly link for the booking link, or do you set it up through Ringy? Like for new clients that want to set up a call on a Tuesday at 2 p.m.?
So yeah, I have access to both, but when I'm doing all the booking with new prospects, I'm always using Ringy. They have a way of, it's just fantastic. They have, when you go through Ringy, the client will get an email notification, then they'll get a text notification an hour before their appointment, and it really works well. They have everything set up on pilot mode, and their templates are they're incredible. I've used it now for several years, and it's worked really well. They have just a lot of great features. Their monthly price is also really reasonable for the value that you're getting for their platform. I'm not sure where I would be without the Ringy, to be honest.
That's exactly why we market it, and we use it for our agents. And it's the same exact platform and model, just the difference is you're going after the consumers, prospects, and we do it for agents and GAs. So it's the same strategy, and it works perfectly. And I agree with you, by the way, Ian. I don't know where we would be without it as well. And here, it's funny now that we're talking about the Ringy CRM tool, because it is a big part of our success. But the way I look at it and I explain it to other agents is, I whatever, if you're in an office right now or your third bedroom, I pretend like there's a shelf, on top of the wall, right? There's an old shelf, and there's a bunch of trinkets on the shelf, and all these trinkets, right, are collecting dust over the years, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, right? And I pretend those trinkets now are either for you, let's say a consumer lead, or for us, it's an agency or agent lead. And now what Ringy does is takes off the trinket, right, off the shelf, polishes it up, right, or the lead, and then gets your name back out there and says, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Agent or consumer, this is Bill Levinson, the life insurance guru. Remember, we spoke 2.5 years ago and just touching base, and I want to see if you would like to set up a call or a Zoom call or whatever you're comfortable with, and then it's a routine that hits them over and over and over again until you get that boom, calendar set for Wednesday at 1 p.m., and you're off to the races. But it's the same concept, right, Ian? And that's how you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, they have a lot of other features too. They have a feature with AI, and they have great technology. But like the days of just calling from like your cell phone number, it doesn't work that way anymore. You have to adapt, just like how, with Amazon and all these other, major corporations, just having that local presence. People, in my opinion, want to talk to someone who is local. So even if you don't live in a certain state, they have that option where you can get verified phone numbers. So if you're calling outside of Florida and you're working in Texas, you have the ability to talk to someone with a local caller ID. Nowadays, that means everything. Otherwise, the odds are, they're not going to pick up your phone calls. You won't even have a chance at bat.
That's right. You won't even get the door open without it.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yep. Yep. No, that's a big deal. I know it sounds kind of like a ringy commercial, but that's how important it is to make it. And here's what's interesting. There's a lot of CRM tools out there. What I love about Ringy is it was built and designed by prior insurance agents. So that's a huge deal. It's not a cookie cutter platform that, 17 different industries use, and then they kind of cater it to that industry. No, it was built for all of us. So I love that. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. And I know it's been a while since you were on with us last, but let's fast forward now to 2025. And I know you've seen a lot of changes, with carriers and products, and you've had to pivot over the years. And now we're here, right? It's early May. And you're out here marketing, selling, doing a fantastic job. I just wanted to know, your thoughts and how you've seen the industry change, the marketing change, and then, what products you're focused on, for 2025 and what your niche is. And you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So most mass majority of companies nowadays are making it a lot easier to get a life insurance policy without having to do a medical exam. So I feel like today the consumers, they really don't want to do the physical. So it's our job to find the right products and know the underwriting. To me, if you know about 5 carriers, so in my case, I'm working the IUL market, term insurance, no exam term, final expense, annuities. But when it comes to the life, what's been a big eye opener is getting really comfortable and familiar with 3 to 5 carriers. So a lot of the times, I'm working with a family, they just bought a new house. Maybe they're in their 30s or 40s, they're really healthy. Banner Life, for example, they're really good at getting clients, fast approvals. They're also super competitive. So who wouldn't want that? Low cost insurance, no exam required, policy instantly issued. So to me, it's really important that you starting off at the bare minimum, you're very confident with the underwriting, guidelines. So for example, with Banner, I believe they go up to 4 million or 2 million if you hit a certain age level. So it's good to get familiar with a few of the carriers' underwriting. So for me, I like using Pacific Life, Banner, and then for living benefits, National Life Group. They will also consider you without a physical, and you get living benefits, critical illness, chronic illness. So if you have 3 to 4 carriers and you understand that underwriting, it's going to help a lot when it comes to customizing and finding the right fit of making things really simple for your clients.
Yeah, that's smart. And then you get to know those 3 to 5 carriers, their underwriting platforms, their niche, quoting. I know you've always been a big believer in living benefits, and selling the new type of life insurance that pays while you're still alive. And you've done a great job with that niche. And I see, over the years, you were using one carrier and then, maybe a certain product, and then that product was discontinued and you had to pivot over to another carrier or product. And you've done a fantastic job with that as well. So, I love to see that. And you didn't let it, push you back, hold you back. You just kept moving forward. Hey guys, what do you recommend for a carrier or product that does this and this? And we came up with a solution and you were off to the races. So, that says a lot too. That's a big deal.
Yeah, you got to be very comfortable with pivoting. I mean, it's every single, year, one day you're writing, one company with their living benefits, then they leave the industry. So if you need help, also Levinson has very good marketers that can help customize the plan, but it's really good to always be, getting updated in the industry and learning some of the other carriers and knowing when to use them and when not to use them, and having more than just, 1 or 2 in your arsenal. So you have your IUL carrier, you have your, your client who needs $1 million of term, or maybe you have a client that wants something that is, like a guaranteed universal life. So very important that you don't have to know them all, but definitely be familiar with, 3 to 5 of them and not get too comfortable with one because it may change down the road.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. You're exactly right. Never have all your eggs in one basket, and you can, why. You literally saw it happen right in front of you. So, yep, great point. And I love the fact how, I remember years and years and years ago, we both, like I said, we think very similarly in a lot of ways. And, we always thought, years ago, we should kind of, our website and our marketing and our methodology and thoughts, kind of keep to ourselves, and, you're doing well or we're doing well. And, we want to keep that going, keep the train going and the momentum continuing to grow. Right. And then over the years, and we both just spoke about this, but we saw like a shift, and you're almost like, you know what, it's okay to share, nuggets and sales ideas. And, there's more good than bad that will come out of that, and it's interesting how, we both kind of did the same thing, and we looked at it the same way. And we were just talking offline about it. But do you want to share a little bit about that before we get into younger agents and, marketing and things like that, Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just, for me, I used to just work, in the trenches and feel like, okay, I'm just going to learn everything on my own. But it's nice to have like a mentor and help others. And, I met someone, a few years ago over at the Levinson Expo. His name's Raphael, and we help each other out with our own strategies. And I feel like nowadays, if I can help, perhaps an agent with their testimonial page, their website, it's good to just be open to helping others succeed. And it allows opportunities to also potentially work together. So I think that it's just good to be there for others opposed to just being on your own.
Yeah, and being open-minded and not I feel like and I remember this came up a few times. They call them these brogencies, out there, and they're spread out throughout the country. Typically, it's younger guys and girls, and they're kind of putting a bad rap or bad name around our business. And, they're out there selling final expense, and they're replacing policies, and then, the policies fall off and they run with the advance and, never pay it back if there's a chargeback. I mean, just there's horror stories. And, a lot of agents that are especially newer, they hear about these things, and they start to get a little scared, and they hold back. And not everyone is like that, and the only way you're going to figure that out is you have to be open-minded, right? You have to share ideas and be open to meeting new people in the industry. And then time will tell. And that's exactly, what happened to you too, Ian. You met a few great agents, and now, you work together on certain things, share ideas, and then you even wound up getting involved in the annuity space. I know just recently you sold your first annuity. So that was great to see. And it kind of started with this concept, right? Being open-minded and.
Yeah. I mean, if I wasn't, connecting with one of your agents at the expo, we worked together on annuities and other cases. So it was very helpful to have an expert, because I am new on the annuity side, but working along someone else who really understands them. So definitely it's nice to have, some partnerships versus just doing all on your own. So yeah, it's been a great opportunity getting into the index annuity. And I look forward to, getting potentially more business, helping, my existing clientele as well with the annuities.
Yep, I love it. I love it. And think about, not just Ian, but anyone out there. Let's say you're focused on term insurance or final expense or whatever, the IUL space. And now all of a sudden you come back to your book of business and say, hey, great news. I'm now focused on the annuity side as well. and I can help you with a MIGA or a FIA. Check out these rates, especially for people that are closer to retirement or retirement age and up. Okay, we have some great solutions. So it just brings an entire new avenue to your business model. So I love that, and you weren't afraid to try. You went out and did it and closed your first deal. So I think that's fantastic. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit, Ian. And I know, me and you are now considered like a little older in the industry. We're kind of like veterans, which I can't believe we're even saying that, but it's true. But what would you say to a lot of the younger agents, coming into the business? Any advice, anything that you wish you would have heard when you first started off? Any recommendations? I know you believe in the mentor and partnership deal, but any nuggets you can leave the audience with would be great.
Yeah, sincerely, if you're brand new, to avoid being part of the 94% failure rate in the first 12 months, working with someone, learning from a mentor. It's not an easy business. It's not easy and it's not hard. Let me correct myself. But once you have some guidance and you have the tools, and you're just like when you're learning how to ride a bike, in the beginning, you're learning. You're going to college to learn insurance. So if you are willing to do that, the likelihood is you will be successful. So to me, I wouldn't be where I am today if I was not, a captive agent in my early years. I'm really glad that I learned and sat down and listened to what the top producers were saying and helping, and the scripting and risk assessments. I still use those concepts from, 18 years ago. So for the newer agents, to me, knowledge is everything. It helps when you can learn from someone else that already has the tools in place. And then from there, once you're confident and you know what you're doing, of course, become independent, do what you need to do. But in the beginning, I would encourage the new people to work along with someone else.
Yeah, no, I agree. And would you just personal opinion, would you recommend being captive with like a large company, like a Mass Mutual, like a Guardian, or would you say maybe you're better off teaming up with like a GA, someone like you, more or less?
I think it can work in both ways. If you're going to work on your own, you have to have a little money to invest in your business. If you're going to be buying your own leads, if you have some small savings, that's going to help you start your business. If you don't have any liquidity, then in my opinion, be better off starting with one of your big firms like your Mass Mutual, New York Life. But once you can invest in your company and you could build a platform, becoming an independent agent gives you all of the options to represent all of the major life insurance companies, and then you can run with that and then just grow from there.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. And let me ask you a question, Ian. This is more personal too, that I think the audience would benefit from. We know it's a tough, challenging business, right? And there are times, and were times, where you kind of feel like you're up against a brick wall, a dead end, if you will. And it's tough. It's tough. And what are the tips, any suggestions, for the agents out there? Was there I don't know, any books or podcasts or webinars, anything you would focus on, or that would help you get through the tough times? Any advice there when it comes to that?
Sure. I mean, for myself, I try to focus on don't get too high and don't get too low, and don't get overly excited when you make a sale. For me, it's to keep the positivity, your energy, feeling great. For me, it's natural exercise. Every few days, I'm at the gym, I'm listening to good music. If I don't feel good on the phone, I'm not going to make phone calls. So self-help books are great too. Those work well. Having a mentor, having someone that you're working close with, and also just, going for a walk, keeping yourself in the right mindset. People will feed off your energy, and you're going to feel better and more positive when you're talking to people. At the end of the day, you are in a client relationship business. So people are going to be buying you at the end of the day. So if you're frustrated that the other client wasted your time and didn't work out, hey, that's okay. You're not going to close everyone. All about recharging yourself and getting yourself back in that right mindset. So now when you talk to the new person, you feel good, you're positive, you had a good lunch, you got your protein in. So it's just, you have to find that balance of making sure that you're in the right mindset.
Yeah, that's huge. That is such a big deal, because you're right. When you're not feeling great, you're not in the mood, you're not going to pick up the phone and dial. It's just a fact. It's the way it is. So it's like anything that you can do to get your head back in the right place and start working hard again and hold yourself accountable. You gotta pick up that tool and run with it and know what it is. Be self-aware, first. But I totally agree, and I'm the same exact way. That the way I look at it too, and I know we talk about this a lot, is like, the gym, or it doesn't matter if you're doing a whatever, yoga, walk around the block, whatever it takes. You go into the gym or your exercise class, and you're in the best mood ever. When you're done, it like brings you back to like the equal area, right in the middle. If you're in the worst mood ever, it doesn't matter. It brings you back to the same place when you're finished. So, figure out whatever that thing is for you that works, and run with it. That's my 2 cents anyway. And I think, you just mentioned it too, Ian, but I feel the same. 100%.
Yeah, all the top producers that I know, almost every one of them is eating healthy. They're getting plenty of exercise, and they're releasing those endorphins. It's something, I know it sounds a little crazy, but those little things like that are going to keep you sharp and making you feel good and making you want to have other clients want to work with you because you sound so positive, you're happy, you're charming, you're making clients laugh. They're just naturally, no one really wants to talk to a boring salesperson. You really have to be different. You really have to find a way to connect. Don't be so salesy. Just be almost like you're helping someone. But also, I feel like people can feed off of your energy, in my opinion.
Yeah, yes, that is so true. I know people, and I'm sure everyone listening does too, but there's always that one person, they're so intelligent, with the MBA, or maybe they're a MDRT, and they can literally rattle off every carrier and product and all the tax consequences and advantages, on and on and on and on. But it's like, nobody wants to talk to them or deal with them, because by the time you hang up, it's like, you're half asleep, and that it doesn't work. So the point is, of course, know enough to be dangerous, and you have to know the basics, like Ian mentioned, with your 3 to 5 carriers and products. Yes. But number one, it has to be your mindset. You've got to be in the right place day in and day out, or close to it, every single day, at least Monday to Friday when you're working. So anyway, great point. All right, let's keep moving. I have a few questions left, and then we can put a bow on this. Let's fast forward a little bit, and I want to go back to, your website. Okay, I think is awesome. And you also mentioned, I don't want to toot my own horn, but you gave me a little kudos offline about our website, and I feel the same about yours. So I just want to put it out there if everybody wants to jot it down. It's also in the bio, but it is FEGLI lifesavings.com. So if you want to check out Ian's site and what he has put together, which in my opinion is great for a retail agent or GA, the About Us section, the testimonials, even the pictures of the awards. Ian has, and I almost forgot to mention this, and it's a huge deal, is year after year, Ian gets our exclusive agent award that we give out to our top agents across the country. So that's a nice deal. And then what's great about it is other consumers and prospects and friends see this on your social media, on your website, and they're like, wow, this guy Ian really is the real deal, and that goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, full circle. So, Ian, I know we touched on this before, but anything you want to say about how important this stuff is on your site?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to build, trust and, authenticity with new people. I just want them to see that, hey, there's a section for mortgage protection, or there's a section for the carriers, and having some testimonials. If you don't have, a website or any reviews, how are they going to know, how are they going to trust you? So I just think that having at least the basics is going to go a long way. And I'm not saying that that's the only thing. It's just, it's a small piece of the puzzle for you to have the right tools to be successful. And then having you're having the CRM, and then having your leads. So you put all those things together, you're going to do really well in this business.
Yep, I totally agree. And we see it. I mean, we have over 24,000 agents. It's the old 80-20 rule, but think about the 20-25% roughly are crushing it. And Ian is way up there. So it works. Okay. And it's not like, we're Harvard graduates and, double MBA, and no, we're just like everyone listening. Okay. Just think about it like that. So we all have a shot at this. Let's, I have two questions left, and then we can wrap up. Let's go back a little personal. Ian, can we share, I don't know, any personal or business stories that you want to share with the audience, and just that, I don't know, can help them maybe learn from this or get a chuckle out of it? Anything that you want to share? Maybe it could have been a family member, it could have been a friend, a client, anything. Personal stories or business stories?
Yeah, sure. I'll share, a business story. So I was working on a life insurance case, and the woman was, I want to say, in her early 60s. So my old thinking is like, okay, she's in her 60s. She wants $2 million of life insurance to cover her mortgage. I'm just going to have the nurse come out and do the pre-screening, because I'm thinking, it just sounds a little too good to be true. So just correcting my mindset of getting familiar, getting comfortable, learning the underwriting guidelines. With Pac Life, she did a physical within the last 12 months, and they actually approved her for the $2 million term policy without a physical. So that was pretty big to me, because I was a little skeptical, thinking, okay, not going to happen. But with all of the new changes that the carriers have made in the last few years, it's really to me, it's a little bit easier getting clients approved. And she got table 2, and she still took the offer. Was very happy to avoid having the nurse come out and having to wait for the physical. Instead, the carrier got the medical records, and then after they got the records, they made a final review. And then I would say within a few weeks, we were able to get a final approval, and it was good to go. So that to me was big, because of all of the new changes that have been made with the life insurance companies.
Yeah, no, I love that. Love that. And that you're right. That's a big deal. Great learning lesson. Let's final question here, Ian, and then I'm going to tee you up again at the end, just to make sure anybody that wants to speak to you further has your info, or of course they can reach out to us. But let's and I saved this for the end. It's one of my favorites. If, let's say, where you are today, Ian, right? And we're about the same age, and yet we spoke about that a few times. If we can go back, let's say 20 years, right, from now, what is the one thing, right, that you would have told, let's say, the younger version, the younger Ian, right, that you wish you knew back then, what you know today? Okay, what would be that one thing that would have maybe made you even more successful, from where you are at this point in your career?
Just having an abundance of leads, having a lot of leads to call, and working with a mentor. Honestly, when I went when I pivoted to a broker, I was on my own. I had to learn from failures to finding the right lead vendors. So it was hard, because there was no one really helping me. So I think nowadays for agents, there's so much support. There's agents out there that can help you, guide you, and avoid you from using the wrong, lead vendor. So I think that's something that I wish I would have had, when I first started, was more assistance and guidance. I didn't have any of that, but I figured it out, from just trial and error. So if I have to think of all of it, that would be definitely on the top of the line there on the list.
Yeah, yep. I totally agree. I think the lead source is huge. We both know a lot of agents that came into this business, spent a fortune and got burned one way or another. And now, they're selling cars, or they're in a totally different industry because they got a bad taste, or maybe they spent all their money. So that it's a huge deal. And you got to honestly partner up with the right person or mentor or GA, call it whatever you want, or even if it's a captive agency. So great points, Ian. Those are awesome. And I just want to say too, and just from me knowing you over the years, and I'll say this publicly on record here, you're a perfect example of someone, right? And we're on the complete opposite side of the country from each other, right? I'm on the complete East Coast. You're on the opposite West Coast, right? Florida, California. But looking at you, and obviously I met you in person, and I consider you a good friend, and it proves the concept of doing the right thing, being genuine, authentic, super detailed, and a very hard worker. You can make it. You can make it in this industry, and not just survive. Okay, I'm saying thrive. I'm saying be on the top 10%, okay, of all agents in the country, okay, like what Ian has done. Has it been easy? No. Has it taken years and years and years? Absolutely it has, okay, but he's done it. He's proven the concept, and he's still growing, okay, so that tells me everything. And I know I said it earlier too, and I know it's tooting your horn, and that's okay. You deserve it. But I just wanted to leave you and the audience with that, because, I know a lot of agents, a lot of people out there, and what I see from you is just, it's outstanding, and it's very rare. And I feel like others can also do it. It's just putting your right foot forward and learning from the past, trial and error, and number one, doing what's best and right for the client or for us, the agent. So anyway, Ian, I just wanted to thank you again. Check out his website, once again, FEGLI, lifesavings.com, Ian Warkall. And Ian, do you want to leave the audience with a few words before I put a bow on this?
Yeah. So if you're listening now and you feel that, you may want to look into working with me, or you have questions, I'll leave you guys with my office number. Please leave a message. I'm really good at returning calls when I'm not on the phone. That number is 805-285-7930, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Great. Thank you, Ian. We appreciate that. So now you have his website, you have the office number, and then you have our number. So I can also make the intro, whatever you're more comfortable with. I hope you walked away with a nugget or two. This was great today. And again, a part 3 for Ian Warkall, and then hopefully soon will be a part 4 and more annual awards coming your way. Check out his website also, and call us with any questions. Great selling. Good luck to you all. And we'll see you again next month on the Bill Levinson Experience podcast. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for the Bill Levinson Experience. Please feel free to share this podcast with anyone you think would be interested. You may also visit levinsonandassociates.com and all of Bill Levinson's social media pages for more information.